you for sharing that. It helps me understand a lot more about the context where you're doing the good work that you're doing as a teacher.
Yeah, it's too much of assumption. People assume that this is my scenario. How was teaching how was it for me? How was it affect for me? Not trying to get off the subject. I always use this scenario. You saw the I Love Lucy episode where she was packing candy on the conveyor belt.
Yes.
The experience that we had during this particular time. Yeah. Also, when it came down to learning about technology, this is a scenario I use. They must have thought we were on the Matrix where we could go be seated in a chair. They plug that little connector in the back of your head, play something for 5 minutes. Now you can go fly a helicopter. It doesn't work like that in real life. No. Just because you give me this information, okay, you need to read through this. Now you got, I don't want to say how many kids. We had a lot of kids. And all of a sudden you got to operate something that you feel within yourself. I don't have adequate training on this thing. Yeah. So, and you telling me it's too many levers. Yeah. I got too many levers to pull. I don't know if I need to be pulling on this one or this one. What's the word? Best practices. I didn't get that training on how to implement virtual teaching in this platform that you gave me. None. So, I don't want to sound like I'm beating. I don't want to sound like I'm on just drum or something. But now those are views that I can share and that others were able to share, and even cheating on assessments. You can't tell. Let's say I'm right here. Let's say if I want to cheat, I can have. If I got another device here, while you talking, I can be pulling some stuff up. Yeah. And just think now, for you got a class of 30 kids.
Yeah, you can't watch them all. That's right.
So that's the whole point there. So what was assumed is not so. Yeah. And some of the politics played in this thing is crazy because the science was saying go left and politicians saying go right. And you got people, you got your life to lose in this process if you're not careful. So I did like most folks from my area. If we err, we're going to err with caution.
Makes sense to me.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. All right. So that actually, it helps me understand a lot about how creative you have to be as a teacher, but also the importance of what you were saying earlier about creating ways for students to connect and to think, even with everything going on.
Yes, ma'am.
Earlier you mentioned about a Little Bighorn and Shane Doyle as parts of the Institute that really made an impact on you.
Yes, very much so.
Yeah. And you just volunteered. I hadn't even asked you. I would love to hear anything else about were there other places during the Institute or other people that really kind of brought that history alive to you?
Well, like I say, I guess the things that were really of interest to me is kind of like the biases. Bias was Little Bighorn, Yellowstone.
Yes, that's right.
I was just tuned into that. I just couldn't wait for that. It's like, okay, you brought all of these little appetizers. The meal. My meal was the Little Bighorn because the reason I'm saying that, see, believe it or not, kids are in they like to interact. They like a challenge. The Little Bighorn, I can bring it in and say, just I can make up something, and then all of a sudden, this person here was Sitting Bull. This one here was Two Moons. This one here was Crazy Hard. Now you got another one. He was called Custer. And all of a sudden, I'm telling a crazy story from the beginning. Now let me bring this thing together and let them know this is what is going on. So my whole thing was on the Little Bighorn. It was told from a loser perspective. The losers were telling the story about what happened and making you feel empathy for those guys killed on the battlefield. Now, and I go out and say this right here. I would say those Native Americans had every right to protect themselves, their families, their little ones, their babies, their mothers, their elderly. They had every right to protect themselves. And I say it like this: Custer got what was coming. It was like you push these Native Americans to the point they had seeded. They kept seeding. And now they fed up and they said, okay, they drew a line in the sand. We're not taking this anymore. And I even asked this question to anyone: someone breaking in your house, you gonna let them have it?
Yeah.
And when it's told about the Little Bighorn, it makes the Native Americans look savage. And I also like to challenge the definition of savage to dismantle the use of the word, because when you look at the Declaration of Independence, Thomas Jefferson got that word stuck in the Declaration of Independence, and I asked the question. I asked, let's look up the word savage. Okay, when you look at the word savage, okay, what about civilized? Okay, so and let's kind of compare this. Now, when you're looking at that, upon first contact with Europeans, what happened? Well, according to stories, Columbus started enslaving them. Wait a minute now. Is that civilized or that savage? He was chopping people's hands off. That's civilized or that savage. So from the initial contact, we get a skewed story.
Yeah.
So it was like I like to bring in movies when the movie Rudy, and one of the things that when Charles Dutton when he told Rudy suck it up whatnot, and when he finally played in that game and they brought him off the field, when he took his hat off, when Dutton took his hat off, he did like this, saying, "That's it." So that's the way I see it at the battle. Native Americans, they got a good one.
Yeah.
And since then, I haven't stopped digging, because I was able to look into that, and even on the updates, on the pipeline.
Yeah.
I want to get more information on that.
Yeah.
It's all over the place right now. The pipeline, and it slipped my mind. I'm trying to come up with this thing with the pipeline and something else. It might come back to me. But we were, that was I didn't get to go to the pipeline excursion, but the information shared with me was an eye opener. And they shared this video with us about that pipeline coming across Native American territory. And the United States government is still up to the same old stuff. And that's the part that gets me. So, it's like.
Yeah. And I think what I'm hearing is that just being there led you to, exposed you to things that then you had new questions about, like you were saying earlier, and you said that you've been watching the documentaries and you keep asking, keep learning.
Oh yes, this is the one.
Yeah.
I actually saw a documentary where the descendants of the